After my video about driving that box truck, I got several messages, and there was one question that kept coming up, phrased different ways, but all asking the same thing. How did you actually do it? How did you walk away from everything you knew and just start over? The answer isn't what most people expect, because the hardest part of starting over at 50 wasn't the money. It wasn't learning something new from zero. It wasn't even the people who thought I had lost my mind. The hardest part was the lies I had to stop believing first. There were three of them, and I almost let every single one talk me out of my own life. By the time you hit 50, you've absorbed decades of stories about what this stage of life is supposed to look like. Some of those stories came from people who loved you. Some came from a culture that doesn't know what to do with people after a certain age. And some of them, the most dangerous ones, came from inside your own head, played on repeat so many times that they started sounding like facts. I didn't wake up one morning and decide to leave my corporate career, start a trucking business from zero, and rebuild my life. That sounds like a story you tell after the fact, when you've cleaned it all up and made it sound brave. The truth is much messier. The truth is, I spent a lot of time stuck, not because I didn't know what I wanted, but because I believed things about myself and about this season of life that simply were not true. And until I questioned those beliefs, I couldn't move. So I want to talk you through the three lies that almost kept me right where I was. And if you're sitting in your own version of stuck right now, one of these might be the thing that's holding you there. Lie number one, you're too old to start over. This almost had me. I was in my late 40s when I walked away from a career I had spent 25 years building. I wasn't just leaving a paycheck, I was leaving an identity. Years of being the person who knew how things worked, who people came to for answers, who had the title and the track record to back it up. Walking away from that at an age when most people are settling deeper into what they know, on paper, it did not make sense. And the voice in my head was loud about it. You're too old to be starting from scratch. Who walks away from a career at this stage? What are you going to do? Compete with 30-year-olds? What I found is this: age is not the disadvantage I thought it was. Not even close. What I brought to that truck, to that business, to everything that I've done since, it came directly from the decades I have already lived. Resilience, the ability to handle hard things without falling apart, the understanding that most problems are temporary, that most people are just scared, and that most rules about what you can and can't do are just things somebody made up. You're not too old. You're better equipped than you've ever been. The lie isn't that starting over at 50 is hard. It is. The lie is that hard means you shouldn't do it. Lie number two, you should have it figured out by now. Man, this one. I spent years believing that by 50 I should have everything sorted. Career on cruise control, finances locked in, the plan for the next 20 years all mapped out. I didn't have a perfect plan. Hell, I didn't have a plan at all. And for a long time, I thought that meant something was wrong with me, that I had failed, that everyone else my age had it together, and I was the only one standing in the middle of my life wondering what happened. Nobody warned you that the path you thought you were on can just end. That burnout has a way of taking something you built your identity around and slowly eating away at it until you don't recognize it anymore. That the things that mattered at 35 might not matter as much at 50. And that's not failure, it's growth. It just doesn't feel like growth when you're in the middle of it. Not having it figured out is not a sign that you're behind. It's a sign that you're still asking questions, still curious, still alive to the possibility that the next chapter could look nothing like the last one. I'm more curious now than I have ever been in my entire life. That didn't happen because I didn't have a plan. It happened because I finally stopped pretending that I did. Lie number 3, it's too late to build something meaningful. This is the one that sounds the most reasonable, and that's why it's so dangerous. Because at 50, you know how many working years you likely have left. You know what it takes to build something from the ground up. And the rational part of your brain looks at all of that and says, why bother? By the time you build it, you'll be ready to stop. I almost believe this one too. But I found that meaningful doesn't mean big. It means the thing that makes you feel like yourself again. The thing that challenges you in a way that wakes you up. The thing you are proud of, even if nobody else understands it. When I was behind the wheel of that box truck, tired, eating terrible gas station food, learning something completely new at an age when most people are settling into what they know, I was more alive than I had been in years. Not because driving a truck was my dream, because I was doing something hard that I actually chose, something that was all mine. It's never too late. Forget the timeline. Feeling alive is what's important. So if those are the lies, you're too old, you should have it figured out. It's too late. Then what's actually true? The truth is, you're not too old. You're carrying decades of proof that you can survive hard things. That is not a liability. You don't have to have it figured out. Some do, but many people who look like they do are either pretending or they stopped asking questions a long time ago. And it is absolutely not too late to build something meaningful. The thing you build at 50 doesn't have to look like the thing you would have built at 30. I look back at the version of me sitting in that corporate office, burned out and scared, convinced her best years were behind her. And I just want to sit her down and say, you have no idea what's coming. Just keep going. If you're sitting in your own version of stuck, believing one of these lies, just know you don't have to know where it's going. You just have to keep driving. I'll see you in the next one.